Is Brother Ben here? Brother Ben. Now, Ben got a heck of a program. A lot of people listening to Brother Ben. And Ben tells them about the minister. And Ben tells them about the minister.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. For those who don't know, Assalamu alaikum simply means peace be unto you. We are on part 2 of How to Survive the Liberation Struggle. Q&A with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you did not get a chance to listen to yesterday's part 1, you definitely want to go back and listen to that. It's on my YouTube channel, Brother Ben X. Go to YouTube, go to the live section on YouTube, and you will find part 1 of How to Survive the Liberation Struggle. We might have a part 3 of this, so we're not going to waste too much time on the intro. We're going to get right into the audio. If you're here for your very first time, make sure that you take notes, because at the end of this, in about an hour, we want to hear from you. We want to know what stood out to you. We want to know what, impacted you. We want to know what made you think. What was your aha moment? And then we dialogue about it briefly at the end. Let's get into it.
Yes, sir.
We three here, sitting here, police officers, there's a problem with that we grapple with almost every time we meet, and that is having a sense of dedication to our people. We realize that the police has always been used, the department as itself has always been used as an enforcer. And we look up, and 15 or 50 years later, we are part of that society, trying to obtain as high as rank as we possibly can. And I would like to put out to you that, how do you feel about, what do you think would be a good solution in we as black policemen who are black, who are not blue, who's a part of the system now, who's really people, some of us who people avoid even though we are black. And I don't want to ask you a specific question, because I feel like you probably have some more thoughts on it other than that question.
Yes.
Some general.
My dear brothers, you're in a very, very difficult position, because as you stated, the police department, the law enforcement of the United States of America, as reflected in the police departments throughout the country, are mainly brute force units that do all the things that police are supposed to do in the white community, but are brutally oppressive in the black community. Historically, when white people get a black woman or man on the police force, they get that type of mentality that wants to be near whites, wants to show whites that I hate niggas just as much as you do. And if there's ever a confrontation between us and the niggas, you don't have to shoot them niggas, I do it for you. And that's the kind of black man that we in the black community, and you too, have experienced on the police force up until recently. And a new kind of mentality is coming into some black officers where they really want to use their position of authority to aid the community, to protect the community, and of course to clean up the community. Those that think like you think are in the minority, unfortunately. In the police department, you are renegades. And you are evil spoken of. And the new ones that come on the force are told to stay away from those niggas. They got some black thing, and they're militants. And you know how they poison the minds of the new recruits. All over the country, I have met black police officers who are really sincere. And those brothers are known by the community. I'm sure the community knows you. And, but there is going to come a time, and it won't be too long from now, probably within the next 3 years, where there will be all-out confrontation between the community and the police. And at that time, you will be forced to say where you stand. In fact about it, you are going to see policemen shooting each other in the police stations when black police become overcome by the naked brutality that is going on their own people. One time, some brother is just gonna lose his cool and blow the brains out of some white police officer in there. And I mean, it's gonna start the stuff now. I mean, the seeds of revolution are all in the department. And your chief, if I may be so kind to say, being a very ignorant man, you know, has, and I mean, you can tell him that I said this. It's all right. It's all right. All right. But being the very ignorant man that he is, he has sown the seeds of self-destruction. And he's not by himself. This is going on all over the country. I just read in this morning's paper that 3 blacks were killed in New Orleans by the police because a young white officer was found bleeding and died by his automobile in the black section of New Orleans. 3 white police went out. I don't know how many white police went out, pardon me, but 3 black bodies showed up. And the police chief went on television with 3 pistols to show that these men were armed, and thereby justifying this murder. Brothers, you're in an awful position. I wouldn't want to be, I mean, my shoes is bad enough, but I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, because our people, when they erupt, that blue uniform places you with them, and they will not be able to make that distinction at that time, and many innocent black policemen are going to be killed right along with their white brothers, and they'll be forced to kill their own brothers just to stay alive. I mean, this is a sad thing that is going to happen. But my brothers, I would hope that in your, is it the Fraternal Order of Police here? Or is it the National Association of Black Police, Black Patrolmen, is it?
No, it's the National Black Police Association.
Okay.
For which the local chapter is the Afro-American.
Right. I would hope that you would work hard in recruiting the black officers and give them some sense of stability and direction. And hopefully some of this can be averted. But I am afraid that the die is already set. I may not have answered your question, but to the fullest extent that you may have wanted, but in the lack of a specific, I gave a general feel for police work across the country. That it is stepping up now. Some police departments are training in food riots.
That's right.
Because they already know that there's going to be widespread hunger. And when folk get hungry, you can't tell them, thou shalt not steal. The country is in for a terrible time in the next few years. And black people, being so dependent, are going to catch the brunt of it. But it's not so dark that there is not light emanating out of that darkness. And if it were not for you all and your presence, it would be much worse than it already is. So I would pray that you would stay and grow strong, even though you take an awful lot of abuse, you know, and you probably won't get to be a lieutenant until there's a major riot. Then they'll need a black lieutenant, and you may even get to be a black captain. Sad. Yes, sir.
I want to ask you, once those of us get into a position where we can help, you know, in the struggle, not necessarily elected officials like me, but I'm talking about where we are in, and I'm looking at a young man who so much pressure was put on him that he had to quit his job because, well, they trump of everything on us. I'd like for you to just expound on something that we could hold on to, stick to it, you know, and encourage each brother. That just like you told Sergeant Coleman, that it's going to be tough, but we're going to have to stay together. You understand? I'd like to hear you expound on how we can strengthen one another, you know, in these kinds of positions.
Yes, sir. My dear brothers, Judge Green was mentioning to me this morning about a Mexican-American girl who is in the media in this city.
Elma Barrera.
Elma Barrera. And when she gets into difficulty with the establishment, her people close ranks behind her and they get her through. They already have the basic wherewithal of community consciousness that we unfortunately do not have. And to the degree that we lack it, there are always going to be casualties that we can ill afford. The young person of whom you speak, it takes a lot of time to bring a young, beautiful mind up to serve us. And when that young, gifted person wants to go out and battle for us, as you have been battling for us for many years, and the rug is pulled out from under that young person, if we don't have a bosom for that person to fall in that we can close around him to give him the strength to go back, then not only do we kill that young one, but we stop others from even trying. Now, what kind of mechanism can we set up? It seems as though many different organizations are represented here this morning that need to communicate with each other. We need to share each other's hurts. We need to have these kinds of discussions where when a brother has served our community and something happens, We send a message to those who meet together. Let us close ranks behind this young man who lost his job. Let us say to the radio station that fired brother and used other, smoke screen tactics to justify what they really had in their mind. He's gone from the job. The community went to them, some members of the community, but we didn't have the economic lever to pull. See, this is the difference with us. I mean, we have money, but we don't spend our money to get leverage. White folks do. They spend their money in a black newspaper to get leverage in the newspaper. They spend their money on the black radio station to get leverage on that radio station. So the radio station manager doesn't want to offend the advertiser. But now if we said, look, man, we'll pull our ads, we'll do this unless brother goes back on. We don't like what you did to him. Then we got some leverage to put him back on. But if you're just going to have a picket sign and go back and forward, Whitey laughs at that. Because you can't hurt him with a picket sign unless now you have some effective boycott. And we're too disorganized to even effectively boycott a chitlin joint, even though we should. You see? So what I'm saying, I don't know how many strong black preachers do we have. We need to get those preachers with us in meetings, because if the preachers join you, and a politician joins you, and a judge, and bankers, and people of substance, and police, and we close ranks behind any one person, I believe then they will see enough leverage here to say, well, look, let him through. But until we do that, we'll be picked off one by one, one by one. And our brother here has told me that you have been instrumental in his life and helping to groom him. And I want to say personally to you, we thank you, because this young man here is one of the most powerful young men that I've had an occasion to meet since I've been on the planet. Born in Houston, and I know that he'll be coming back here to expound. He's been all over the world. He's lectured all over the world. In South Africa, he has lectured. In Zimbabwe, he has lectured. In Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, he has lectured. In Europe. And he is a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he also has gotten a master and a doctorate degree in this world's educational system, and is having a divine degree conferred on him by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he has been so magnificent in his work on the West Coast, if I may just say this, that was it the most worshipful master?
Grand Imperial.
The Grand Imperial Potentate. My Lord. Look out now. The Grand Imperial Potentate of the Noble Order of the Mystic Shrine heard this man teach a subject that he got from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the man, after hearing that exegesis of scripture and that exposition of wisdom, said, what is there that I can teach you? And got up and offered this brother his chair. And the brother, being a student of the messenger and an humble man, would not sit in the imperial potentate's chair. And they have conferred on him 32nd, 33rd degree, and the noble order of the Mystic Shrine. Conferred it on him because of the wisdom that he gained from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I'm saying that, thank you, brother. And I know you have to go, right?
I've got to go, but let me say this. I was telling Dr. Strength, I know Miss Harris.
Yes, sir.
We lost him in the Methodist Church, but we gained a leader
Yes,
that
sir.
we needed in a nation. I make this statement, and it came to me. Where it came from, I won't take the credit, but we lost a nation to integration.
Yes.
Because we were being trained like the Elijah Muhammad was training us, and we were about to come together. But this thing is coming back, and I can see it surfacing, and it's coming from the east, and that's what I like. I'm a fool like Judge Green. That's what I believe.
Can I go back down the hall? Sisters, I'm going to feel terrible, and I will not be able to fly back to Chicago in peace if I don't hear something from the sisters before this is over. Yes, sir, brother. Certainly, but feel if you're comfortable.
I'm from Albania, South Africa.
Yes.
I was very happy yesterday when I had to speak. When I was in Albania, we managed to get some records which had been smuggled through. Listen to the words of Malcolm X. And we were very much inspired by the youth. The situation was just like it is here today. Our elders had given up to the system. But when we heard Malcolm speak on the album, we realized that we could do something about it. So when I came in America, I was detained in South Africa, and I managed to escape. And I went through to Botswana. I was a refugee in Botswana. And then I was, quote unquote, rescued by the United Nations. And I was sent over here to be re-educated. When I came here, I was more exposed to the writings and the works of Malcolm X, and I read very extensively the few books that he wrote, and I had some more of his albums from my friends. And the only thing I missed in this country was to meet Malcolm. I really wish I could have seen him or at least met him. I've never been inspired like that in my life. But now that somebody is listening in the image of Malcolm X, I'm very privileged. I'm very happy that I've seen him. In Tanzania today, people are in a state of confusion. But people in this country, black people in this country, they do not deny the relationship of the struggle between us in Southern Africa and us here in this country. There's a lot of brothers and sisters who came here with the economic. That's true. I knew exactly how they feel to come over in America. They've read, they've seen a lot of television, Sidney Poitier, James Brown, and some other, Muhammad Ali, and some other renowned black artists who are TV performers and movie filmmakers. They were very happy, I know, to come over here because they expected that type of America which is portrayed on the films all the time. But I knew that just like I was shocked as well, I knew that they have the shortcomings. The struggle of the African people not only end in South Africa, and Africans in America are not free as well. They're living in the same conditions that we used to live in when I was in South Africa. I'll give you an example. There is a white man called Donald Woods. Donald Woods went to the United Nations to testify about the death of my friend Steve Biko. I used to live with Steve Biko, but the white world would never let me testify about what Steve Biko did and how he died. Donald Woods became the authoritative figure outside who knew more about third world than I, who used to live, sit and eat and sleep with him and struggle and breathe, try to find the answer to our problem in the community. By saying this, I'm trying to make people aware that while people all over the world are one, today I am in third world with the rest of my brothers and sisters, and I'm very happy because I know this is where I'm more comfortable. Donald Woods today is living in a palace. He's living in London. He's a professor. He's been taken care of by his white community. He's living the best life ever. And he's waiting for South Africa to be free, to go back home and live the same life that he's living today. But with me, there's no change. I'm in the same boat. I'm saying this because I really feel sorry for the brothers and sisters, especially in Houston. They are really difficult to understand.
I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm about to fast forward. This is a long question, man. I'm finna just fast.
How we feel like we have because of about this, they think there's international after with the African brothers being in this,
because part of the conditioning, I'm deeply touched by your words, and I want you to sift our words very carefully. Part of the conditioning that black people in America have undergone is to destroy our connection to Africa. That has been done so well that when you come from home to your own kith and kin over here who look just like you, they look upon you in many respects as a stranger, and you are rejected of your own because you are African. This is because of the unenlightened condition of our people. If they were themselves, they would open their arms to receive you. And they would know, how can we be free and you not be free? Your struggle and our struggle is the same struggle. My dear brother, the 520 or more American-based corporations that exist in Azania, South Africa, she is being fed from here. If the head of the serpent is cut off, the tail will automatically die. Azania is not the head of the serpent. England is not the head of the serpent. America is the head of the serpent of colonialism and imperialism that crushes the hopes of black people all over the world. This is why she works night and day to keep black Americans oppressed, because if we rise up here and this beast here is crippled, you are freed there from the fall of this one here. Now, we see our struggle as one struggle, but we recognize that we cannot effectively help in the struggle of our brothers over there until we effectively extricate ourselves from the grip of their oppression here. For black people to look at Africa and say, yes, I think we should send a little aid over there to those poor, struggling Africans. That's sickness. That's like a man hanging from a tree saying, I think we should get him down. Brother, we are more enslaved in many respects than our brothers over there, because at least they know they got an enemy to fight, and we are here cohabiting with the enemy. You understand? So look, my dear and beloved brother, we are committed as followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the liberation of black people all over this planet. Wherever they may be found, we will not stop until all black people breathe free. The Bible talks about Moses growing up in Pharaoh's house, learning all of the wisdom of Pharaoh. But all Moses needed was a change of direction. And when he met with Jehovah in the burning bush, he decided to use all that Pharaoh had taught him, plus what Jehovah had given him, for the liberation of Israel. That's not in the Bible for conjecture. That's in the Bible to teach us a profound lesson. We in America have grown up in the house of the world leader. And in every branch of technology and engineering, science, medicine, and law, you'll find several blacks who have mastered that technology, and many who have engineered that technology, hidden away in corporate America. All black folk in America need is to come home to themselves, and we would have enough knowledge among us to liberate ourselves and then send that expertise everywhere it's needed among black people. Now I'm going to close this point. It is true that America and Russia can have detente when they're thinking about crushing black people. But I hope to call to your attention the fact that after the First World War, and they had carved up Africa for the European nations, if you remember, they went to war again. White folks went to war with white folks over the spoils of that same continent. This beast don't care nothing about his own white brother. If there's some profit to be gained, then what I'm respectfully suggesting to you is that America and Russia are going to clash. It is the inevitable confrontation, and you are at the door of that confrontation right now. That's the only way God can take the two superpowers off the back of the people of the world. Yes, many millions and hundreds of millions will die, but Africa will be here, and so will we, brother, to pick up the pieces and rebuild this planet. These beasts are going to war. I mean, I could go further. This is all prophecy into our part in America when she goes to war. You don't worry about these over here. They're going to be all right. White folks are going to help them to be all right. I can promise you, brother, when they get finished killing us in the next few days, when the natural disasters that are sweeping America begin to cut off wheat production, food production, and Whitey has to go into his grain storage bins, he's not going to feed us first. He's going to feed himself first. That's right. And when those kind of hard times come, our people are going to pull away from white folks by the droves. You will live to see that, brother, if you just live 24 more months. We will be free. And Azania will be free. And our union will take place. And the brothers from here will be going there. And you from there will be coming here. We intend to link up all over the world in one great struggle against our enemies. The last point I would like to say to you, Malcolm X, whom I met when he came out of prison in 1950, he came out in 52, I think I met him in 53, in Boston. He was attempting to get me to be a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. At that time I was in show business. And he was a radical fella by reputation, and I wanted nothing to do with it. But later, about 2 years later, when I became a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm and I became very, very close. In fact, in his book, he wrote of me under the name Louis X that I was closer to him than his own flesh and blood brothers. Malcolm was the mouthpiece of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not a, what you would call, articulate man. Malcolm was gifted, beautiful speech. So Malcolm took the ideas of Elijah Muhammad and translated them for the world to hear them. Malcolm's message to the grassroots, is that the one you heard in? Yes. That was made when he was a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But when the record was put out, they deleted all reference to Elijah Muhammad. This is true. Malcolm, before his break from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, recognized that it was Elijah Muhammad's guidance that made Malcolm the world figure that he became. And what I'm suggesting to you, my brother, is not to take anything away from the greatness of Malcolm. But I think we need to look beyond the stars. I would like to make a personal gift to you today of the writings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I want you to read what he wrote that turned Malcolm on. And if you are turned on by Malcolm, which you well should be, then dig at the root of what turned him on, then you'll be in a greater position to turn on the brothers and sisters of Azania. Stephen Biko is dead, but he lives in you, and the struggle of Azania is in you, your sincerity, your commitment. Now all you need is to arm yourself with the knowledge of how to go back to Azania or to feed into Azania information that will stir the people to greater heights of consciousness. My brother, many of our people who are revolutionaries come away from religion because they see religion as the tool that white folks use to oppress us. Therefore, you can't get too many revolutionaries to read the Bible. And in my judgment, that's a mistake. The Bible is the greatest manual for revolution that is present, if you know how to read it. Now, your people in Azania and my people here have been indoctrinated by the Christians into biblical understanding. And if you could take the books of Elijah Muhammad and see his exegesis of scripture and learn how to use the Bible properly, you could take the very book that they used to enslave us and use that same book to free us. That's right. Stokely Carmichael, dear friend of mine, at one point didn't want nothing to do with religion. I said, look here, brother, you can't reach black people. You can't come to no black man talking black talk. Black people want to know, what did Jesus say about it? And if Jesus didn't say it's all right to love black, I ain't coming on that black stuff. And you can go around the South talking about waking up black people, and you can talk socialism, you can talk any ism you want to. If you don't come out of that Bible, you done lost 90% of black people in this country. So the key, in my judgment, to getting Houston awake is understanding that Bible and unloosing the seal of that book. And my brother's going to come back here in a couple of weeks with God's help to join with our brothers and do that for you. So I'm going to make a gift of you of those books, my brother, and I want you to study them. And if you would you please let us stay in touch with each other. Are you a student here? What is your major, please?
Telecommunications.
Telecommunications. Very good, brother. Very good. How soon do you think? Well, I guess you wouldn't be able to get back home until it's liberated, huh? Very good. Very good. Now I think we will close this with the next two expressions. And then, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. Sister? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make a comment on something that I heard you speak of on last evening. When you made mention that Houston was nothing but plantation city. I totally agree with you on that. I call it a cowboy city. Due to the fact that a lot of our brothers and sisters here in the city seem to feel that unless they live in the southwest area of town or the outer perimeters, they are not considered, say, people of distinct in the community. They want to get away from the inner city. But the white man is coming back to the inner city, which is the heart of everything, and renovating and putting skyrocket prices on apartment complexes, as well as putting up toy townhouses and selling them from 90,000 up, which we cannot afford. The black people in the ghetto right now, they're going to be faced with it's sad to think of what will happen to the brothers and sisters in the community today. And I hear a lot of black brothers saying, well, hey man, I don't want to stay in the third ward. You know, I'm going to stay out here in the Southwest where the money is with the white folks. When, in essence, what they're doing, like you said, following instead of trying to get up off their rock and do something on their own. And I just wanted to make that statement and to let you know that I was aware of what is happening in the city. And I myself still live in Third Ward and will continue to live there, regardless of whatever happens. And I have enjoyed the Third.
Thank you, sister. This is a pattern going on all over the country, moving black people out of the inner city. And it's a very effective thing. I mean, they took over the Georgetown area of Washington, D.C. I mean, just moved the black folks out. They're moving them out of Harlem now. I mean, that used to be exclusively ours. I mean, but they know what they're doing. And the moment they move us out, they come right in, just like Sister said, build up high-rise condominiums and charge exorbitant prices, knowing you can't pay it. And they're bringing their folk right back in to the cities and pushing us out further and further away from city life. But all of this is going to backfire, sister, as you soon will see. All of it will backfire. It's like Whitey pushed the Indians off on the reservation and then found out that the last places in America where there are oil reserves is right where they pushed the Indians. Now they're trying to push them off of that. Yes, my brother.
I'm Brother Robert. And I do a bit of research in history. I spent a lot of my time doing that. And I ran across a bit of information just recently that hooked up with something that's been on my mind. And that is our self-definition. We have seen where we've gone through phases of being Negroes, nigger, colored, black, Afro-American. And then something happened where we reverted from Afro-Americans back to black American. It kind of rose up for a couple of years, but it went back to the common phrase of the black American. When the word Afro mostly has a relationship to hair. And I could see the development in this where it should have led to African, just the word African American. Just as though Chinese or Japanese in this country use the term for tactical reasons, Japanese American. Chinese Americans, but among themselves, they want to speak of themselves as that. And the bit of history that I read upon was the Ethiopian-Italian conflict. And Brother Sterling Means is the author of the book, Ethiopia and its missing links in African history. And he mentioned how during the invasion of Ethiopia by Mussolini, that black folks, African Americans in this country came together in such a rapid manner that it scared white folks almost to death. They had done that may have been fine, but it wasn't enough And I see where they learned from that not to let us hook up, along with other reasons, with the continent due to the inevitability of their expansion into the continent for resources and so forth. And they passed a law, voted on a bill that prohibited brothers from this country from enlisting to fight in foreign wars. Because brothers from this country were organizing to go to Ethiopia if necessary to fight the Italians. This is something I hadn't seen in any history books. And this book was written in 1945. And it's just been republished. And it helped me to understand a lot of things clearly. But I still see some confusion on our parts as to what do we call ourselves when we leave here to go to the continent of Africa? What do we say? We're African Americans, Negroes, Black Americans. Understanding that we're black, but what word?
Okay.
Valalian is all. There's different words, and I'm just wondering, can you help me be clear on what we can use tactically and whatever's necessary?
I see we have a blackboard back here.
Yes, sir. Can you do this?
Now, I think you raised a very wonderful question. And we could be here another year. That's the truth. Just dealing with identity. Just dealing with identity. But I would like to share with you some of that which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us on that. Now, brother, I'd like to hear your question. Maybe we can put them all together and then close it out. Sister, you have something to say?
Well, I'd like to say that I am elated and honored to be in your presence and to be in the for once.
So we're going to pause right there. These some long questions, so we're going to say that for tomorrow. But I am interested in hearing what the minister is going to say, so I'm purposely giving us all a cliffhanger, because we know in 2024, that is a question that many of us are dealing with, especially on these Twitter spaces. What do we call ourselves? Are we Black Americans? Are we black? Are we not black? So I'm interested in what the minister is going to say. I like the question. He just took so long asking the question, but man, tomorrow's we're gonna be in for a treat, man. I'm wondering how the minister gonna answer that. So if you have anything that stood out to you today, go ahead and press the number 1 at this time. If you have anything that you would like to share from what you heard today, go ahead and press the number 1. Boy, they had some questions, didn't they? One thing that stood out for me, I'll say, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There we go. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, we have money, but we don't spend our money to get leverage. He said white folks do. He says they spend money on newspapers, radio stations, and basically said if they have a problem, they'll pull their support from these radio stations. So if we don't leverage our money, it's kind of like we don't have no power. Boycott, if we boycott effectively, then we do have some power because we withdrawing our support in that way. But basically he's saying we are these investors. Like, for example, we know the ADL is affected because they have the power to withdraw some support in places. Nobody may not want to lose those who are in high places with the support that some of them may have. So when they say come out and apologize, or the Jews so-called tell you to come out and do certain things, because I know who's backing me and I know who's investing in X, Y, and Z, I gotta make a move because this is my backing. So basically he's saying we gotta learn to put our money to work and leverage it for our good, not for manipulative purposes and to do wrong per se, but to say, hey man, you don't want to lose this that I got either. So don't you gonna it's basically gonna make them think twice about mistreating us, think twice about doing certain things because we can withdraw. So learning how to come together, man, and leverage, not just so I can get a car, or so I can get a home, or so I can do something for me, but saying, hey man, collectively, how can we put this money to work to leverage it for something that we got some power, we got some say so at the table. We got some stake, if you will, some stock, if you will, to be a part of the decision-making process. Because if not, like you said, we just going to protest in the streets with picket signs, but that's not going to change anything. And so he did mention, boycotting, but we got to make sure that we in unity on the boycott, like in 2015 when the minister said justice or else, and he told us about boycotting these certain spots. It was effective. It was some brothers, football team, I think. I can't remember vividly, but something happened, and I think they ended up boycotting, and I think they ended up getting the decision that they wanted due to the boycott. So that's just another way for us to do it. But of course, we got to be in unity. But it was effective when the minister mentioned it in 2015. A lot of stores lost money. Let's go to Sister Dr. K.
Assalamu alaikum, family. That was one of the points that I wrote down too, Brother Ben. Our economics are not used to get leverage. And it's interesting because Minister Brother Nuri came he was here in Atlanta this weekend, and he was talking about doing for self for suffering the consequences. And he was talking about how we, learning how to unite together. And it's so interesting because I was thinking about that, how we can't come together. And, like we have, my husband and I, we have a trucking company, and there are like 5 other brothers who are friends of my husband's. Each one of them have their own truck, and they own their own truck. And instead of coming together, as my husband was trying to get them all to come together under one company, you take that 5 trucks, you now have a fleet. But instead of uniting and coming together, each one of them started their own LLC with one truck. Well, we don't know how to unite together to be able to see the strength in coming together. Instead of having your own one single truck as a company, you come together, you got a whole fleet of trucks, and then you can do so much with that. You can have small just so many things, but like we don't trust each other. It's just so sad to see, And so I was just thinking about that as the minister was talking about, us, uniting, but then also how he said that eventually we're going to be forced to, do it. How he talked about, I think he made mention, and I may not be saying this right, about when he was talking about wheat, and then, how, you won't have any more, and then the white man will be going into, well, however he said, I may be saying it wrong, but, just again, talking about the importance of us coming together as a people. And, I see everybody else doing it, like you see in the Hispanic community, in the Asian community, it's like every other community will do it, but we won't, And it's just so sad to just see, So anyway, I was just thinking about that as the minister was talking about that and our dependency. You know, we'll go and spend with other people, but we will refuse to spend with each other. We just don't trust each other. Or, you know, Minister Nuri was also talking about how we're even afraid to even share our ideas with each other, thinking like, oh, somebody's gonna try to take my idea, or they're gonna try to steal my idea, instead of seeing like you always say, Brother Ben, like one person, you know, your gift connected with another person's gift, connected with another person's gift, man, we could do so much. It's just so sad to see, and it's just so unfortunate, you know, that we're still in this place, but we just have to, you know, just continue to strive until, you know, we're forced to do what we should be able to do on our own.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing. Brother Daniel?
Yes, sir. I guess I'll land back off the two previous points with the pooling of our resources for leverage and being able to withstand the attack of the enemy because our resources are not tied to him. And then the time point of what our sister said about us needing to come together and how we tend to want to go individualistically as opposed to coming together. I heard our sister allude to what will bring that coming about of togetherness, and the minister said that it's the judgment. It's as America shut down. It's when we see that we can no longer get or extrapolate out of this economy what we need, then those type of wins will force us to come together because we have no choice. And he mentioned that judgment would be a part of this. We see that going on right now with the destruction of Georgia and North Carolina, the two hardest hit from this hurricane. And then he said that there's no help coming from white people to our areas when this happened. They will look out for their own. This is real, and it's unfortunate that it's going to take this type of unfolding of drama, but it's real. He told us that the best of us come from the Word, meaning we change our mindset just from hearing the divine revelation. We get up and do what needs to be done. So when the people are ready to unite, our mindset is already formulated in unity. But the rest come with the whipping. Meaning I don't want to work with a Negro. I ain't doing nothing with nobody black and all that. That mindset got to be whipped so that we can do what we wouldn't do without a strap hitting us. It's a hard reality, but it's true. I remember somebody asking the minister on VON, "But minister, what is it going to take for men and women to come together and all this and black people to come together?" And he said one word: a whipping. I'm like, that's all. Oh, I mean that's a lot, but man, they didn't spend a lot of time with that answer. Um, hmm. We're blessed because we are discussing the highest form of revelation that our mindsets might change, and we will willfully want to do the things as our sister expressed, coming together and things like this. But the Willie Lynch syndrome is well, his plan work, mistrust, envy, division, all of this type of stuff that we're dealing with. And then he spoke about identity. He said we could spend, I don't know if he said 1,000 years, but he said we could spend a lot of time on that alone. But now we can see where our people are being destroyed from identity politics, male female politics, male female identity. People don't even know who they are nowadays. I mean, this identity thing is so deep. If we don't get the knowledge of self, we're gonna be whatever in the hell somebody else telling us to be, or whatever's been implanted in us. So to know that we are made in the image and likeness of God, and that identity goes all the way back to the originator himself, would advance us beyond nationality, all this I'm against the Venezuelans and the Mexicans. They coming in, taking over our community through what he spoke about, regentrification. All that stuff has worked. I talked to a brother in his school in Inglewood. Now, if anybody don't know something about Inglewood and the black community, Inglewood is all black, or was. most folk wouldn't talk about me moving to Inglewood because you could die. It's 25% Mexican, 25% Venezuelan, 25% black. I mean, it's thoroughly mixed. He said most of the students don't even speak the language, so they gotta translate. It's a new day. But without the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we're looking at this like, oh, who are these people? They are people. The Supreme Wisdom said 4,400,000,000 original people. So this is why we got to get this knowledge so that we can come up out of this mindset that's basically killing us. And last thing, he mentioned how Russia, America, they got to go to war. We're looking at this right now. What's going on in Ukraine? Ukraine ain't stood up and fighting Russia on their own. They backed. America is hiding her hand behind correct Ukraine and using her as a pawn. And this is the reason why Russia is upset, because they know that America in the West and the EU, NATO is behind all of this. So now we on the brink of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this thing will go nuclear. And Europe is going to be the graveyard. Putin been threatening nukes for a minute now, and they say he ain't going to use it. Well, we'll see. So I don't want to go any further, but this is a very serious time, and I did get word that there's a strike coming, and there's about 13 ports that's being shut down, which is going to create a supply chain problem, which is going to cause more inflation, and the things that we need to live day to day won't be on the shelves. So it's a lot going on, family, and it's just a blessing to hear a message that's over 40 years ago, but it's bearing witness to everything that we're dealing with right now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sister Jamie.
Assalamu alaikum, family. I want to bear witness to everything everybody said, but what on my point that I heard is that the minister said you got to speak the language of a people, and the problem is Black people are speaking is speaking different languages, and that's primarily why we divided. In Building the Wheel, he talks about first God had to come with that nationalistic mindset. And he said, then once the nationalistic mindset, because we didn't care about who we were, we didn't understand who we were, and we didn't understand where God was trying to take us because we didn't know who we were. But now that we got the nationalistic mindset, okay, now we got to start building as a unity. The problem is that we don't want to get out of the nationalistic mindset. He said he told the brother, in order to speak to your people, you got to know your Bible. How many of us as Muslims, let's keep it real with ourselves, how many of us as Muslims really truly pick up our Bible and actually study our Bible to know our Bible? Because most of our people, they don't know the Quran. They don't understand the Quran. And so we're speaking a whole different language because they like, man, that Quran is in Arabic. I don't know the Quran. But if you study the Bible, you're able to go into the Bible and pull out the same things in the Quran, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came and gave us the basics of the Bible and the understanding of the Bible. That was the one thing I wanted to point out. But the other thing I wanted to point out was with what the sister said. I'm in accounting and budgets and finance now, but for 20 some plus years, I've done logistics. Allah just recently moved me into the disaster zone. I'm in Georgia now. Praise is due to Allah, His will, not mine. And He brought me into Savannah, where they got hit hard. And as I was riding around yesterday, just to get to understand my neighborhood, I'm looking at, because of the mindset, I'm not looking at the disaster. I'm looking at the opportunity. I'm 15 minutes away from one of the biggest ports in the United States. And I'm like, whoa, it's money here. I didn't know Savannah was moving like this. I didn't know that there was an out like this. So now, because I'm reading Torchlight for America as well, too, And the minister talks about manufacturing. He talks about import and export. And he talks about giving us our own place where we near ports and things of that nature. So now I'm like, okay, Allah, I see your plan. I see it a little bit more clear. So I don't know what it is just yet, but I understand it definitely got a lot to do with building for our people. So then I go into the Black neighborhood. I go downtown and I notice right on the outskirts of downtown, it's us living in slave shacks. I mean, on top of each other. And my spirit, my mind, my everything just fell because I'm like, in 2024, we still have people living in a condition like this. So then that tells me that there's mental disconnection, mental issues that our people haven't even overcame yet. So then I asked Allah, so what is it you want me to do on that level? He said, well, where does it start? I said, it starts by understanding, helping them to understand who they are. It starts by us getting the word to our people so they can understand the identity of who they are. Because I'm sorry, gods don't live in those type of conditions. So here it is, we have movement, but yet no order. We have movement, it's chaotic, we drink, we smoke, we eat the wrong foods, we doing everything against the very nature of ourselves. So we can't talk about coming together as unification if you can't even unify with your own self, with your own mind, with your own condition. We got to first understand how to get our people out of that condition. And I'm sorry, like the minister said, it starts, he said, give the Honorable Elijah Muhammad 90 days. 90 days and see, do you not see reform? So it has to start with the reformation of our people. And it takes work. So we may not get 5 brothers to work together because obviously they're not on the same reformation. So we got to find people that we on the same reformation, the same wave with, or the same vibration with. So it may take a brother that's across the way that wants to be able to work with another brother. It may take another sister. It may take a sister like myself that wants a brokering company, because that's where it starts, not just with the trucking. You got to go with the brokering. You got to get the contracts with the direct manufacturers. Cut out the middleman. Why do we got to go through a 3PL and we can build our own 3PL? Why do we got to go through manufacturing companies and we can build our own manufacturing company? Why do we got to go through warehousing and we can do our own warehouses? Why do we have to go through laboring to do laboring? Because not only do you got to pay, because you got to look at all that when you start a business. You got to look at the packaging. You got to look at the housing. You got to look at the production. You got to look at all this. So now you got to come together and utilize your skills to be able to work as one unit, a body, a working man. So the brothers, they got the same trucking company where they don't even want to be a trucking company. So fine. You utilize them. You go build the broker company. Then you hire them on as individual contractors. Okay, because that's what they want to do, right? Fine. Hire them on as individual contractors as your 3PL. Stop looking at what they won't do and start looking what we can do. Go directly to the manufacturers and get those contracts. Go after the money, then call your brothers and say, hey, I can move you for $3 a mile, because that's what they're looking for. I can move you for this much amount. I can be able to get you this. Hey, where you at right now today? Because they doing the same thing on the load board. They doing the same exact thing for the white man. Why can't they do it for your 3PL and your brokerage company? See, sometimes we got to go outside the box, think outside the box, build what it is we need outside the box, then bring them over to a new box. So that's a mental. We have to give them something to be able to say, let me think a different way. I love the minister, I love the messenger, and I love the way they build things. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad built based off the needs of the people. Everyone in the nation had a job. He said, okay, you a carpenter? Let's go ahead and start building buildings and businesses. Let's go ahead and start buying up these, the ruined cities. Let's buy up the houses like they're doing, the re-gentrification, because that's what they're doing in Savannah right now. They're moving all the Black people out of the downtown area. So what that tells me, gentrification is coming in. So become a contractor for the city. Why? Because the city got an $80 million, they got an $80 million million infrastructure. They got $247 million sitting in their doggone general budget. Become a contractor. Bid on this stuff. Buy the stuff up. Go to the land banks. Pull our resources. Get what we got to get. And even if you cannot get with your brother, seek refuge in Allah. Because Allah, when he knows your mind and he knows what you're trying to do for the people, he will open up the doors abundantly for us to be able to go and get what we need. And then connect with a sister like me, because I love finding y'all money. I love finding y'all money. I love finding y'all contracts. I love finding all that good stuff, and I'm good at it. All praises due to Allah. I'm good at it. Thank you, Allah, for the skills. See, the problem is we got to find the right people that's doing the right things, not the wrong ones, and then move off on that. That's all I had to say, Brother Ben. Thank you for listening, beloveds. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Praise be to Allah. And we're going to end off with Sister Gwen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. I agree with everything everyone said, especially Sister Jamie. We don't trust because of the mentality, because this has been ingrained in us, and it has been ingrained in us for what, over 400 years? I know we have been striving to get our people back, but hell, I'm in my 60s. It took me to my 60s to get myself back. So we got to give ourselves and our people time. Like you said, we got to talk to them in a way that they can understand. Also, when the minister was talking about the white people moving back into the city, I see it all the time here. We're losing our houses because people don't want to pay the taxes. The taxes are no more than $3,000. You got 3 brothers and sisters, 4 brothers and sisters. That's what, $500, $1,000, but don't nobody want to do it because don't nobody want to think that they did more than the other person did. Also, I've been trying to hire somebody to paint my house. I would prefer it be a Black person. Every time I ask somebody to paint my house, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, I'll come give you a bid. I'll come give you a bid. Okay, that's a week wasted because that person never show up. I'm trying to work with my people. I don't really want nobody else to do the work for me, but it's hard to get my people to commit and to do what they say they want to do. When I'm trying to pay you, I don't want you to do nothing for me for free. I'm going to pay this white man if he come in here, but I want you to come. I want to pay you so I can get you started. So I can go tell somebody, oh yeah, I had brother so-and-so come over here do, girl, he did a good job. Man, he did a good job. I had sister so-and-so come over here and decorate my house for me. She did a good job, but I can't get him to get her. So we have to figure, I have to figure out how to get them to move in that direction. I understand what Sister Jamie is saying on the big scale, but what about the little scale? How do I get them to move on the little scale to even come and do that to get started? We like ants. We can carry the world. Ants are one of the strongest creatures God has made. We are like ants. We can carry the world, but we need to move in unison. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank everybody for sharing your thoughts this morning. For those who are in BWF, Brother Tay just went live, so you guys can click on that Zoom link. He is live this morning. For those of y'all who want to check out the market, and inshallah, we will finish with that answer from the minister in the morning. Assalamu alaikum, and have a blacktastic day. Peace.
Is Brother Ben here? Brother Ben. Now, Ben got a heck of a program. A lot of people listening to Brother Ben. And Ben tells them about the minister. And Ben tells them about the minister.